So we're joined from the DMV by Dr. Vernice Moore, founder of Vie Lorie handbags, but also still a practicing doctor there in the DMV. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. We have a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School, which is our entrepreneurship class.
Okay.
And we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for fitting us in your very busy schedule today there
Absolutely.
in Virginia.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. So obviously, we want to talk about the handbags. It's so cool the way you package them, the way you sell them. Obviously, great quality, great website. But tell us about your background because you didn't go to school to be an entrepreneur. You went to school to be a doctor. Went to Penn State University, one of the largest universities in the United States. And I don't care where you go to school. If you go to a huge high school, that is a huge adjustment to go to such a large campus for college. So just tell us about your college experience and what drove you to medicine and then kind of, why you started branching off into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, went to Penn State. I came from, I'm originally from New York, Long Island. So it's not like the city environment when you think of New York. So it was a smaller environment. So as you said, going to Penn State was a huge adjustment. But I developed my community there, and it just so happened that the people that I surrounded myself with were very driven. I was very picky throughout childhood. Young adulthood, and even now about the people that I entertain or who I allow to entertain me. So I would tell you a lot, my core circle, they are very successful as well. One of my closest friends, and she's a lawyer. And so when you are surrounding yourself by people who are driven and who have plans and goals, you have no choice but to become more of that. So that was kind of the foundation that helped me while in school to be focused and guided towards greater purpose.
Yeah, and even though we're talking entrepreneurship, there's always a need for diversity in medicine.
Yes.
With all the technology now, with the patients coming from all walks of life, we need to have people in healthcare of all walks of life to understand how with the program the AI to run the machines and to be able to be emotional support for every patient. Now, I think it's interesting because obviously medicine is very niche. It's very when your education to become a doctor or a nurse or anybody in the medical field, that's all you really get school on. And I did not know that till a guest on this platform who was
Mhm.
also a doctor.
Mhm.
She's one of the leading GI doctors in the South, the only black GI
Mhm.
female doctor in the state of Mississippi. And she had all these accolades, wanted to open her own practice because she had the idea, well, I want to work for myself. I want to make my own hours. I want to be the boss. And she said, I knew everything there was to know about how to save somebody's life with any GI issue, but I knew nothing about running a business. So
Yes.
it really is two separate skill sets. So even though you're not a medical entrepreneur, you're still an entrepreneur that had a lot of education in the medical field. So
Yes.
talk about some of the things that you had to learn as an entrepreneur because it's not just Instagram, TikTok, let me open the business and start making money.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you is I have several entrepreneurs in my family. My mom, my dad. My mom opened her first daycare center when I was 4 years old. I was her first kid in her daycare. And she expanded over 26 years to several different locations. So I experienced in my household someone having to hire staff, make payroll, make plans, execute. Same thing with my dad. He also had a cleaning business, a restaurant. And so from early childhood up until, they decided to sell their businesses, I was around that and had experience. So it doesn't always have to be formal education. Some of the best business owners are people that learn from family members. So I incorporated a lot of that into my know-how. And there still were a lot of things that I had to learn, but what was established in me was the foundation and the belief that I could do it. And if you're not exposed to it and you're not around it, you don't know that you can do certain things. And so I felt like, oh, I will just do what mom and dad did, and then other family members did, but there were still a lot of gaps that I had to close. And so what I will tell you is I understood the whole concept of branding and your target audience, and I had to think about what is it that I want as a customer. And I started to define myself as, okay, I like quiet luxury. These are the things I'm attracted to, I'm drawn to, and I started to create that brand world in preparation to launch Vie Lorie, the luxury handbag.
That's awesome. Now, that's what I want to talk about next. Vie Lorie. Did I say it right?
Yes, Vie Lorie.
Vie Lorie. And you make unbelievable custom made handbags. And obviously, I don't have any use for a handbag. I don't know anything about handbags. But our females in this class, we've looked at your website and they were like, "Wow, that's so cute," you know. So talk about where you got the idea to sell handbags and and some of the I'm sorry, I'm getting notes passed to me from teachers.
No worries.
And some of the way you sell it and you know what you sell because it's not just one thing. You have several types and very high quality.
Thank you so much. Okay, so how I got the idea. First of all, I did not know that handbags were the thing that I would want to sell. But what I started to do was I started to study my audience first, the people who I would like to entertain, the people who I would like to sell to. And after I became a physician and I'm hanging around people who now have money, disposable income, I started to notice the things that they were drawn to. And there was one event I remember I went out with a bunch of friends, physicians and CEOs, and they all had these bags that were two, three, $10,000. And then I had my $15 Marshall's bag. So I saw that there was a market there for that. And I said, okay, let me start drawing stuff to see what, skills I may have. And lo and behold, I drew some things that people absolutely love. And I went on a 1 year shopping spree just buying bags, which was not a healthy habit. One day, my husband says to me, the next time you bring a bag in this house, it better have your name on it. And he didn't know what it would start. And the light bulb went off in my head. I said, better have my name on it. So that's what kind of sparked in me to really pursue this skill that I discovered in being able to design handbags that people really liked.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because what I see with high school students. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. We had a slight glitch there. No, but one thing I've noticed in high school students is they think like a 17-year-old. They think like a 16-year-old. People make the mistake of, I wouldn't pay for that. Well, it's not about what you would pay for. You have to look at what your customer wants.
Yes.
And if you know you're trying to draw a high dollar customer, you're not going to try to be the cheapest.
Yes.
And I always use the example. There's a reason Ferraris cost so much. They're not going to have a discount Ferrari. They're trying to sell to a certain amount of people, and there's not an unlimited amount. So if you know you're creating a luxury product and you know you're going to use the highest class materials, the best packaging, and your packaging is fantastic. We'll talk about that in a second.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
offering little separate things, there's so much you can do in order to give yourself that luxury status.
Yes, absolutely. So what I will tell you is that the key thing is knowing your audience, just like you said, and knowing what they like. My audience likes exclusivity. They like to know that they can purchase something that the average person cannot, right? So if something is a great quality, but it costs $2, they're not likely to purchase, even though the quality is great. They also don't like loud luxury, like labels all over the place. They like if you know, you know, right? They're okay with them knowing that what they're wearing is high quality and they don't care necessarily about what other people think. That's one of the key things that I notice. And if you notice on my bags, I don't put the label everywhere. And in fact, I don't put it on the front. It's down on the bottom on the side, right? And then the next collection, which you'll see on February 1st, also the same. It's down on the bottom on the side. I only have one bag that you'll see a logo on the front, but it's all about the design. The other thing is the people that are drawn to me, like just last week, I was with Viola Davis, Angela Bassett, Tatiana
Wow.
Ali. Yes, if you follow my Instagram, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see all of these people who have asked for my bag. Next week on the Thursday or Friday of next week, I'm going to the Grammys to present my bags to people.
Wow.
I've been invited to the Grammys. I did New York Fashion Week. I was in Vogue magazine, Glamour. These are the customers, right? Now, if it was a $5, $10 bag, which a lot of people may say, I mean, I had a doctor right in this place who told me nobody's going to buy those bags if they can get it somewhere else for $10. No, it's how you present the bag. It's not so much the material itself, it's the branding, the story that you tell. And right now, what's happening, and this is important for them with their businesses and their goals. The businesses that are successful, the brands that are successful are the ones that have a story that your customer can connect to, right? You can, leather is leather, right? Hardware is hardware is hardware. Yes, you can get different levels, but it's the story that connects the customer and they would want to purchase your product, which is at a higher price than someone else's. And so I've learned how to really sell my brand. Now the quality is next to none, but quality, and if I'm quiet, means nothing to people. But I've learned how to place value on the brand itself and how to position myself where people to make myself desirable, where I can now get invited to go talk to celebrities. Like this is a speaking engagement. The next one is at Duke Cancer Institute because they want to know the same thing to a bunch of doctors. So it's about how I position it and the message and the story behind the brand.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because I talk about this all the time, and I know they get sick of it. But our next class on Friday, they're going to give their presentations, and they usually do a great job on them. But
Mhm.
how important is it to have those speaking and selling and marketing skills as an entrepreneur? Because at the end of the day, you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't sell it, it's all been a waste of time.
Oh, it is extremely important, especially now in this age with social media. It's extremely important because if you notice, if I buy, a bunch of ads and I send out a bunch of ads and it's just showing the product and it's saying, oh, buy this or here's the sell, that's one way. But the better way is if I can get on in front of the camera in a very nice way or whatever's in line with your brand and tell people why they want my brand, that's more impactful. I feel like I'm a part of this process and I know her and I can touch her. And that's the difference between my luxury brand and some of the other brands. There's no name behind it. But when you think of Vie Lorie, you think of Vernice L'Oreal. That's my name. It's even a play on that name. You think of her being a doctor. I'm a cancer survivor. There's a lot of things that you think that empower and add to the story that make people feel connected versus just an ad, which is great, but it's the story behind it. So that branding and being able to develop public speaking skills, right? To be able to fine tune your message and to be able to explain what your brand is about. Sometimes you don't have time to prepare. Somebody can ask you, an investor right there can ask you, you have to be ready and prepared.
Yeah, you never know who you run into, and it really is crazy how small the world is sometimes. And before I get to their questions, because I've got some good ones, I do want to mention that because you are a cancer survivor and
Yeah.
you're very open about that. And I always say cancer is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't discriminate and it affects so many people. But at the same time, it's a perfect example of everybody's going to face obstacles, these especially these black kids and especially these black women. They're going to have obstacles that are going to occur, and it's not about where you are on the journey; it's where you finish.
Yes.
And things happen to everybody. Things happen to people's family, but overcoming those things is what really sets the successful and the unsuccessful people apart. So, talk about just briefly, your journey with that and how that led you to be the business owner and doctor that you are today.
Okay, so one thing I will tell you is a lot of times people think the issues that happen to you. Now, for me, it's cancer. For those that are in the class and others that may hear this, there are other issues. Maybe there's finances. Maybe there's some relationship issues. If you are bold enough to talk about it, somebody else can identify with you and you can turn that into your story, right? Especially as a Black woman, a lot of times we wait for people to invite us to their table. Create your own table, make your own story. I'm at the position now that people now want to be invited to my table to talk about these things, as you can see. So don't look at your handicaps, your disabilities, your issues as your flaw. Use it as the thing, the flag that you can wave and say, others who can be encouraged by this issue, here I am. Come sit at my table. And then you can use that as your platform, your stage. People now begin to pay you to come talk about your issue that you thought was the issue, now it's the thing that's your moneymaker.
Awesome. Well, I do have some questions from
Certainly.
students, and these are really good. I like these. I'm gonna get to as many of these as I can. This
Okay.
first one is Jameer Mayfield. He's in 11th grade. Has a
Okay.
great concept for a barbecue that also provides food for the homeless. So really, really cool idea. This is one of those things. Like I said, I know you have a female or oriented company, but this is kind of something to think about too in the food industry. Because he asked, how do you calculate the materials you need to produce your product?
Okay, so that's a good question. And so, from your perspective, you have to literally get a pen and paper and write down every single ingredient for you to make one meal, just one meal, right? So I had to think about how much it costs to make one bag from start to finish. And then I multiplied that by the minimum quantity order. So when you get into manufacturing, especially on a large scale, you'll hear across the board, no matter what it is, if you're selling shoes, barbecue, whatever, you think about the minimum quantity order. If you're selling it, if you're running a restaurant, right? And you want to produce your own sauce, and you go to a company, say, I want to produce this sauce, here's the recipe. They will require you to make, let's just say, 100 bottles. There's a minimum quantity, a threshold by which they would start to make a profit. So whatever that minimum quantity order is for whatever the material is, that's what you have to consider. So for me, most of the time you'll hear three. You have to make 300 to 500 bags. Well, the factory that I'm working with, because they really believe in me, they've lowered that minimum quantity order to 100. So now I have had to calculate all of the materials. That means the leather, the hardware, the tech designer, because I'm the designer, but I have to take it to another designer who makes the pack, right? And then multiply that by the minimum quantity order. But then pricing is the next thing. How many times, like, think about your profit, not just your revenue, because a lot of times that's where people mess up. They're just eager to make a dollar and not pricing their items accordingly to make enough profit to be able to turn it back over into um, more investment to do the next thing.
Yeah, and again, that all goes back to the mindset of you can't have the mindset of I'm in high school, that's all I can afford. You have
No.
to look at, because we had a great assignment last semester on looking at competition.
Yeah.
You can get things that'll work just because you're using an idea doesn't mean you're stealing their product. If it's working for somebody else, it can work for you too, and then you can beat them in
Yeah.
quality or in customer service. So that's a great point. I like this one. This is Q Kennedy. She's in 10th grade, has or 11th grade. I'm sorry, she looked at me crazy. 11th grade. She has a really cool concept for a car detail business, and she asked, "How do you handle stress and fear and maintain a work-life balance being a doctor and an entrepreneur?"
This question is a very, very real question. Very, very real. So, stress and fear will occur. There's no way to escape it. It's actually a human response that I believe God has given us to protect us. Like, if there is a lion that just comes in here and I don't know the sense of fear and to seek security, I'm going to get eaten alive. It is what you allow yourself to be limited by. If your fear is limiting you, then that's where it becomes a problem. You have to use the fear and stress and put it into perspective, right? So, one thing that I would say I always do when I get stressed and overwhelmed and fear, I get a pen and a paper. If you are not writing your plans down, if you're not writing your goals down, which requires literally no dollar, no money, it requires your energy and your thought. Write it down, make a plan, set your priorities. So let's just say there's 20 things you can think of that you need to do, even in your assignments, 20 assignments, 20 parts that the teacher gives you, right? Write down the priority. This is number one. Skip down. Okay, this has to be number two, number three. So then you kind of feel like, okay, I know what I need to do first, and then assign a time. Assign a time. If you find that during the time you're supposed to be doing your English assignment that you're scrolling, you know that you're messing everything up. At the very least, if you do veer off your plan, you know that you have to readjust your plan every single day. Millionaires and billionaires start their day by writing it down. They either start it or they end their day by writing the plan for the next day so they know what to do. If you're not organizing, you're not writing yourself stuff down, you are setting yourself up to allow your stress and your fear to overtake you.
Awesome. Well, I got time for two more. This is Shunda Alicia Black. She's in 10th grade. Wants to get in the cosmetology field. She's already practicing, gonna get the license after high school, and then has a really cool concept for a salon. And she asked, "What has been the biggest challenges you have faced as a woman entrepreneur?"
I think that people will try to take advantage of you. I think that people will try to take advantage of you, especially when you're new in the business. It's happened to me. It will happen. But I think that if you find communities of people that are just like you, where the benefit is mutual, meaning you find somebody who's also building a business and you can build off of each other. There may be tricks to the trade that you can share with them, they can share with you. That's exactly what I'm doing. There's another high-end jewelry line, Bellicia. She's also building this high-end jewelry line, has her jewelry on celebrities, and we talk several times a day. And there's many times where we've protected each other. So for her specifically, she needs to be taking pictures and videos and preparing her social media content, making it exclusive, talking about what she does, draw people in, offer, different discounts or whatever she can. But social media is what is the way of the world right now. She has to create content.
Yeah, and it's not always about trying to be funny.
Yeah,
When
no.
if you're about making money and running a business, you need to be engaging, and
Ex-
it needs to be, if you're going to make content for the high dollar crowd, you can't be making the stuff that the 15, 16-year-olds like.
Yeah,
You've got to make stuff that's going to be on their algorithm. And that takes a
absolutely.
little research, but it definitely can be done.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. One thing I want to add to that is that if you're always trying to be funny, entertain, you water down your credibility. People will laugh, but not take you serious. So you have to make sure that you are in line with your brand goals. If it doesn't fit your brand goals, then you're going to lose your audience.
Awesome. I got one more. This is Aaliyah Clay. She's in ninth grade. And she asked, what was the biggest motivation to go into business for yourself because you were already a successful doctor?
I love creativity. As a doctor, you can't be creative. It is what it is, right? I can't come in and start making up a new treatment if someone's having a heart attack on this bed. I can't do that. I'll be behind bars, right? Now I've learned that I have nailed that down, but then I like the idea of just picking up and doing exactly what I want to do, whatever color, whatever design, whatever shape. There are no rules. There are no rules. And then the idea of people buying my ideas, these doctors, radiologists, all types of people just spending 2,500, 1,500 based on the way I've positioned the brand, they have bought something that came out of here and out of here, my heart and my mind. And so that is a huge motivation to know that there's no limit. I can create shoes, I can do perfume, I can do, I don't know, accessories,
Wow.
any and everything, anything I want. And if I position it right, people will buy. When you work, go to a 9 to 5 job, which is great, but when you go to a 9 to 5 job, you will always work for your money. But you have to figure out how to make your money work for you when you're sleeping. When I'm sleeping, people buy bags. I don't get paid to be a doctor if I'm home sleeping. I only get paid to be a doctor when I'm seeing a patient. So think about how you can make money while you're
Wow.
sleeping.
Wow. Man, uh, anytime you can make money without working is always a dream. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get back to your shift here soon, but a couple things before we go.
Sure.
Vielorie.com, Vielorie.com. That's
Yes.
also your Instagram.
Yes.
Really cool content. And
Thank
look, and it's like I even told the guys, even if you're not a handbag person, you have so much things that you put out there that could be great business ideas. So
you. Yeah,
anywhere else where we
follow
can find you online?
me. Yeah.
Is there anywhere else we can find
Oh,
you online?
oh yeah. So I'm on TikTok, Vie Lorie BTS. So Vie Lorie behind the scenes. That's what it stands for. So Vie Lorie,
Okay.
Vielorie BTS on
Cool.
TikTok. On
Awesome.
TikTok, yeah, and watch my page over the next couple of weeks. I'll be at the Grammys, and you never know who you'll meet. Oh, who I'll meet.
Tell me about it. And I know you got the big reveal of your new series coming up here in the next couple of weeks in New York. So that'll also be on there. But the last thing before we go is you mentioned how if people and look, and this doesn't just apply to the black kids. This applies to anybody.
Anybody?
People are never going to come find you.
No.
I don't care who you are, and this applies to me as well. So I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to make your own path. You
Yeah.
have to put yourself there. You have to be the one to take the initiative.
Yes.
Nobody is coming to find you. Nobody is coming to save you.
Nope.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
So as these kids start transitioning out of high school, and even if they just want to be a part-time entrepreneur or have a side hustle, because look, you have a full-time job and are an entrepreneur, so that's fine, and it's actually more and more common.
Yes.
So what can they do to put themselves on those tables to where there may not have been opportunity in the past? Because look, I'll be the first person to tell you, opportunities in communities like this did not exist a few decades ago.
Yeah.
Uh, I was quoted in a magazine by saying black communities, rural communities were left behind for so long with resources and access and education, but there has never been a better time to make something of yourself and knock a door down and say, I'm here. Here's why you need me. So, what can they do to make that happen for them as they get ready to graduate next year and start making decisions for their future?
Every single person in there should have a dream book, a book and a pencil, and you should be writing in that book every single day. I don't care if you say, I woke up this morning as something as little as that, or you write this big dream every single day. You should be refining your dream because what you write down is what you gravitate toward. If you're not writing and it's somewhere stuck in your head, you don't have a focus. But the more you write, this is what I want to do. This is how I would do it if I had the money. Guess what? I didn't have the money. I did not have the money. And guess what? I still don't. But people find me and they fuel my dream. You need to be writing your dream down. You need to be refining it every single day. Take 10 minutes and add something to it, refine something. What would I do different? It could be $10 that you take to invest in something in your dream. And that is the very first step. And you will see things start to gravitate toward you because you have a focus, you have a point, you have a purpose, a passion that you're working on daily. And I do that every single day.
Love it. And I can't wait to see the new series. I cannot wait to see the content from the Grammys. I follow you and I can't wait to see it. So again, we thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get back to work. Dr. Vernice Moore, all the way from the DMV there in Virginia. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you so much. My
All right,
pleasure.
talk to you soon.
Okay, bye bye.